October just hits different as a teacher. The honeymoon stage is gone, the adrenaline has run out, and suddenly the work feels heavier than ever. The grading stacks are taller, the emails longer, and the number of plates you're spinning feels impossible. If you've thought, why can't I get ahead? I want you to know something important. It's not you. The American Federation of Teachers found that educators are working on average at 53 hours a week. That's 13 hours more than the standard full-time job. No wonder October feels like drowning. So today I want to share with you 3 practical ways to catch your breath. These are small shifts, not overhauls, that will give you more room to breathe and maybe even reclaim a little energy this month. Welcome to the Secondary Teacher Podcast, the podcast for middle and high school teachers juggling multiple preps to get the strategies to reduce overwhelm so that you don't have to choose between being an effective teacher and prioritizing important relationships. I'm your host, Kristen Masick, a 10-year high school engineering teacher, former middle school assistant principal, and teacher coach. Every week, we will discuss strategies, systems, and time-saving tips to help you not only survive but thrive as a multiple prep teacher. When I was in my 3rd year of teaching, October nearly broke me. I was teaching full-time and then rushing to the skating rink right after school so that I could earn a little bit of extra cash. And then I was bringing home a bag full of grading and collapsing on my couch while trying to pretend like I was spending quality time with my husband while we watched Netflix. So as I'm sitting there one night when everything around me, the thought came to my mind, because I'm in my 3rd year, I thought it was going to get easier, but it hadn't. So the next week I did something different. I tracked my time, not just my contracted hours, my actual hours. When I added them up, the total was 56 hours. That was my normal week. And here's the thing. I thought I was just bad at time management, but research confirms what we already know in our bones. Teachers everywhere are working beyond human limits. It's not inefficiency, it's overload. And when I finally accepted that truth, that I wasn't the problem, I started looking for ways to breathe again instead of trying to grind harder. That shift is what led me to these 3 practices I want to walk you through today. Strategy 1, awareness check. Track what's real. The first step to catching your breath is simply to see the water you're swimming in. When you track your actual work hours for 1 week, it does 2 things. It shows you reality, not just feelings, and it validates that overwhelm isn't in your head, it's in your calendar. Here's how I suggest you try it. Keep a sticky note or use a notes app. Jot down when you start and stop working, including at home. At the end of the week, add it up. When I did this, my number shocked me, 56 hours. For you, it might be 50, it might be 60. Whatever it is, I want you to see it and say, no wonder I'm tired. Surveys show over half of teachers report not having enough planning time during their contracted hours. That means we're forced to work evenings and weekends, and the data backs it up. So if you feel behind, start here. Get clear on what's real. Awareness is the first breath of oxygen. Strategy 2, boundaries save you. Practice the polite no. Once you see your workload clearly, the next step is boundaries. I know. Easier said than done. But here's the truth. If you don't say no, your plate will keep filling until it overflows. The first time I tried it, I was terrified. And to be completely honest, I wasn't great at saying no when I first started teaching. I kind of felt like it's whatever everybody did. Everybody said yes to everything. We were all sharing the workload, which unfortunately, I really wish we would have done more as teachers because it really ends up falling to those who say yes. And that's what came to light when I was an admin. When I needed help with something or when we needed help with lunch duty or some other sort of duty, if we got a no, we would just ask somebody else. It wasn't that big of a deal as an admin. So I want you to take that into account as you think about saying no, that somehow they will figure it out and they will find a way to do it. And sometimes it is appropriate to say yes. Sometimes that is something that you are excited about, but there are other times when it's a no. So here is some steps to practice. First, write out 1 or 2 polite no scripts. Practice saying them aloud and use them the next time something unnecessary comes across your plate. A teacher I worked with set an email boundary. She checked her inbox twice a day instead of every 10 minutes. At first, she worried she'd missed something urgent, but what actually happened? She gained an hour back every day, and nothing fell apart. Occupational health research shows that employees who set clear work boundaries experience lower rates of burnout and are more likely to stay in their profession long term. So, hear me clearly, boundaries are not selfish, they are survival. Strategy 3, trim the extras. Let go of what doesn't matter. Here's the third step, trim. Not everything on your list deserves your energy. Ask yourself, does this directly impact student learning? If the answer is no, it doesn't get to run your life. Here are a few things I let go of in October. Perfect bulletin boards, I swapped them for student created work. Elaborate lesson slides, I reused simple templates. And overgrading, I shifted to shorter, more targeted assessments. And guess what? My students still learned. In fact, they probably learned more because I showed up with energy instead of exhaustion. I once spent 2 hours designing an interactive slideshow, only to realize my students got more out of a simple discussion protocol. That's when I embraced the phrase, grading is an assessment and pretty isn't better. Studies on workload show that when teachers reduce invisible labor, like excessive paperwork or constant room resets, stress levels drop significantly. Trimming isn't about doing less for students. It's about letting go of the things that look good on Instagram, but don't actually move learning forward. So let's zoom back out. If October feels like drowning, it doesn't mean you're failing. It doesn't mean you're not cut out for this. It means you are carrying an impossible load. And the way through isn't to push harder. It's to breathe smarter. Track your reality so you can see the water you're swimming in. Set boundaries so the flood stops rising. Trim the extras so you actually find your footing again. Remember, you're not the problem, the overload is. And you are allowed to set it down. Because you don't have to keep drowning. You deserve to catch your breath. Until next time.